Here we are today in Roomies Cave in London, and I'm joined by esteemed guest Shaykh Babikir Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair.
It's very nice to be invited here. It's an amazing place. I've heard so much about it. What is Roomies Cave and what goes on here?
Roomies Cave is an idea that came about while I'm traveling around the country giving talks in universities, and I realized among the congregation there are a lot of young Muslims who are full of faith and eager to learn more about Islam, but they find it difficult to communicate to the masajid, and usually because they are judged and they distance themselves. So I thought if they went shopping, even if they didn't have the money, they will still get into the shops and test whatever is being offered, touch whatever is there to and handle and wear, and they can come out without buying anything. So we opened this space for people who want to come and to find an abode whereby they can feel comfortable. So we called it Roomies Cave because Sidi Jalaluddin al-Rumi, rahmatullahi alayh, was the man who was accommodating. To me, that's the kind of Muslim I would like to see today, encouraging everybody to come to Islam. Why? Because he wasn't having any barriers. Okay. And the second thing as well, when we think about it, we live in a non-Muslim land, and we live among non-Muslims who are eager to communicate with us, work with us, interact with us, buy from us, sell to us. So why stop where we can do something good? So when we started this space, initially we wanted to have it like a cafe, but then soon I realized people are looking for something more stronger than coffee, and that can only come spiritually from the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ in being good with those whom you interact with. Specifically when he says Islam is interacting with everyone, sharing your food and conveying salam to them, whether you know them or not. Mm-hmm. So we began to do cultural evening here, like poetry night, storytelling nights, to some extent some nasheed, rapping. Many of the upcoming nasheed artists, they are the graduate of this place. We have two functions, something we call open mic, whereby anybody can come and stand and do whatever they want to do, and we have something else which we bring professionals into to perform, and people can see them performing, inshallah. And for that, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this place the way it should be today.
Ameen, ameen. I mean, it's much smaller when I've actually come into the place than what I ever expected, but your doors are always open. Is that right? You're welcome.
The door is always open to anybody, Muslim or non-Muslim, Muslim who's following a school of thought or not, whether you are Sufi or Shia, whether you are Sunni or Salafi, it doesn't make any difference to us. Okay, you come to this space because the vision is uniting hearts, minds, and communities. We are one community among many communities. In fact, my best ambassador for my place is my next door neighbor, a shopkeeper called Ruth. She's a pensioner, an old Jewish woman, and she speaks well about our community, and she speaks well about the example we are giving in this place, because she feels people should come together in peace to do something to benefit people, rather than creating argument and fussing about things that have got no value, because anything of value should come through love. And I think what she's saying is correct, because at the end of the day, Islam is all about loving the Creator, but we can never love Him without loving the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inshallah.
So one of the many roles you fulfill is the Imam and Khatib, the person who delivers the sermon at several mosques. We prayed with you before at the Brent Mosque, where over 2,500 people were there, and it seemed like a very, very nice place. What is your capacity in the mosque, and what are the kinds of things you do there?
Well, to be honest with you, the Brent Central Mosque, which is in Chichili Road, is one of the unique masajid in this country. The capacity of that place is up to 3,000 people, can inshallah easily fit in that masjid. People come to that masjid because it links different areas of within that Brent area, and people come from the Kilburn area, they come from the Willesden Green area, they come from Neasden area, and they come and pray there. It's a beautiful masjid because it was a church, which was a worship place, and mashallah the Muslim got it from the church, and then they started using it as a worship place. They haven't changed anything in it as it is. The only thing is the seating arrangement is different because we pray on the carpet. And that masjid in particular I find very unique because it has three beautiful qualities. And those three beautiful qualities I don't find in many different masajid. Number one, it has a wise leadership that realize that the Muslims who come to pray in the masjid are from different backgrounds, school of thoughts or cultural background. And what happened is, when they come to the masjid, they are all brothers, and therefore the masjid is theirs. So the masjid 24 hours a day is open for anybody who wants to use it, as long as you do not say anything to harm anyone or anything. Then you can use the masjid.
So a no aggression policy.
No aggression.
Everybody's welcome, but no aggression.
No aggression policy. Number two, the masjid is always allowing different communities to come together to do their own celebration, their own talks, their own mashallah discussion talks. No, there is no limit in that, which makes the community more easily accessible to anybody. If I want to meet anybody, I can go there and I can find them. The community itself, it finds itself in a very good position there because they are not asked to pay, they are not asked to fill, they are not asked to nothing. Just come and use the mosque. As long as you are known to the community, you will benefit the community, then you are supposed to use that community.
And what kind of links do the mosque have with the wider community around them? In particular, their neighbours around them. Are there good links?
They are very, very good links. The community, in fact, is welcomed in the masjid anytime. There are some masajid who open, for example, a day in the year for people to come in to be taught what the masjid is. Our masjid is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for anybody to walk in. We have good links with the local authority. In fact, our local MPs, our councillors, and even some of the government members, they come to the center regularly. And we have got a very good, mashallah, community that links itself well with the politicians from different parties, from different grouping. So we have no problem, inshallah.
I think I'm recognising a pattern here with the work which you do, because here in Roomies Cave, it's an open door policy.
Yes.
In the Brent Mosque, it's an open door policy. How important is it for us as people in the Muslim community to have our doors open and welcome others in?
Well, to be honest with you, as Muslims, we are supposed to be deputies for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. Through what? Through the teaching of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What was he sent that we can take from him to be deputies for him? He was sent as a mercy. And unless we open our hearts, not just our accommodation, but our hearts to welcome people, and he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Islam is to be shared, not in conveying words and shoving down what you think everybody should follow down the throat of people, but by sharing your food. Who doesn't like food? Okay? And by sharing your beautiful smile and saying assalamu alaikum to anybody whom you know or you don't know. Now, there are some people say, but we can't say salam to the non-Muslim. Who says so? The Prophet didn't say that. He said, to the one you know or you don't know. You see? Can you imagine you go to your workplace, you go to your college, and somebody who's not a Muslim says, oh, Ahmed, assalamu alaikum. No, I'm sorry, you are not a Muslim, so I just say hello to you. Does it fit into the teaching of that merciful man? No. But in fact, if somebody says assalamu alaikum, Allah gave in the Quran a direction. Okay? فَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ. When you are greeted by a greeting, you must greet by a better greeting, or if you are mean or stingy, just repeat the same. أوردوها. So imagine Mr. X comes to you and says, Salamu alaikum, Adam. You can't say, Mr. X, hello, because I'm not saying Assalamu alaikum. No, you can't say that. You must say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. There is no argument about this. There is no debate about this, because the Quran says it clearly, and the Prophet ﷺ, the exemplar, has practiced this. We as Muslims need to keep our heart open as a representative of mercy and leave any place we stay as open. Our home should be Qibla. The masjid is our home. This Roomies Cave, when we opened it, we made it an abode for everybody. In fact, they came at time, everybody have a key. You can come here anytime you want. You can use this place as long as there is nobody else using it, and as long as you are doing the right thing. So the policy of being open is a policy of Islam. The Haramain are never locked. The masajid should always be open. If people are peaceful and they can coexist, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, these teachings of yours, of open doors, open hearts, as you were saying before, they're very, very powerful teachings, and we know that many people for many years, all across, up and down the country, have benefited from these teachings of yours. I'm interested in finding out a little bit more about where they came from, where you came from. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Where were you born? Where were you brought up?
To be honest with you, people are shocked when I tell them. I came from a desert of Sudan. And one of the strangest things when I came here as a student, my father is a businessman, my ancestors are all businessmen. And I came because my father said, what would you like to do? I said, I want to travel. He said, okay, where do you want to go? So I said, I want to go to Germany. Why? I said, I want to learn German. Somehow I had, in my land, in the desert, a lot of people used to come passing by, bikers on bikes, people walking, especially from Scandinavia, France, Belgium, a few British, traveling on the desert. And our tradition is to welcome everybody. So my father used to go to the masjid, and when I come out, he will invite people, travelers. We're near a railway station, and we are near the bus stop, where a lot of travelers come. So I used to go and stand by him. And when I see the foreigners, I want to invite them. So my father one day said to me, invite them, speak to them. So with my little broken English, I used to invite them. When I used to tell them, you can come home with me, and you can have a meal, and you can have a show, they ask me, how much? And I used to say to them, no, it's free. And they're worried. They come home, we provide for them like we provide for ourselves, and they have fresh beds and everything. And subhanAllah, they used to say to me, why do you do this? One Scottish man once said to me, you need to come to Scotland. I said to him, no, I want to go to Germany. Why do you want to go to Germany? I said to him, because I just want to learn German. I had a fascination with it. But when the time came and I was supposed to travel, my father said, look, listen, you speak English, just go to England, it's easier for you. Do something to come and help me in my business. We used to import things from Britain, and textile, and we used to export cotton. So alhamdulillah, I came here, and I stayed in Britain for the last almost 40 years. And subhanallah, finding exactly what those men I used to welcome into my house wanted, what they were traveling for. They were looking for something to fulfill them. They had everything in the West. They had money, they have status, they have luxury. But people there, but we have very simple things, but yet was fulfilling. We were content. Okay, so the desert where I came from was a place whereby I reflected, a place whereby I was taught, it's not yours, it's everybody. We have no borders, we have no boundaries. We didn't ask the person, where you come from, what is your religion? No, I didn't test the Muslim who come to me whether they're Shia or Sunni or Salafi or Sufi. No, this is nonsense. كلكم لآدم وآدم من تراب. This is what I was told. You are all from Adam, and Adam is from the dust. And we will all go back to the dust. So we need to treat each other with respect and dignity. So from here, it's open house. If you go to my country, when you're walking in the street, everyone says Faddal. Means welcome, share with me. Okay, alhamdulillah.
So this leads on to the next question. How does this son of business people in the desert become a spiritual guide? You know, we're changing radically from commerce to spirituality. And many people benefit from your spirituality and your guidance here in the West. So how did that happen?
Well, you see, the business is your living. We were brought up that if you are into the path of da'wah, you should not make it your means of living, because then the people will look up to you in a different way. Many people don't understand when the Ahl al-Bayt don't eat from the charity. Imagine if the Ahl al-Bayt eat from the charity, then they'll be accused that we should come to the poor and the needy and the orphan and the widows. These people are using it, and this is the saddest thing. So here, our profession is different to what we do. But I come from a family whereby everybody, in fact from my mother's side, everybody is a da'iyah. And the family is linked to Abu Bakr Siddiq from Abdul Rahman, and they call them mashayikh. And if you go to Sudan, their tombs are there to be known. From South Egypt, because that used to be part of Sudan, from Aswan down. My greatest grandfather called Mujalli is buried there. And you come to a city in the north of Sudan where my ancestors lived, called Berber. They have got a Dakka, or a graveyard called Dakkat al-Bakriya, the graveyard of those who are linked to Abu Bakr Siddiq. This is where my mother come from. In fact, when the English came, and this is a fascinating story, my mother tells me, her grandfather, her mother's father, the English couldn't get him out of the room because they got everybody out. He refused to get out. So they were coming to him again and again. They want to move him. You have got too many students. All this piece of land, you should get out. We'll give you any place else in Sudan. The day he died, they were so happy to come and take him to the graveyard. Little they know, before he died, he told one of his students, I want to build a room. And he built it, and he only left a small little window, covered it with some bricks, mud bricks, and the door was covered by mud bricks as well. I said, if I die, I want to be buried here in my home. Now, the day he died, they came to take the janazah. The British rulers were standing there on their horses, but they couldn't carry the bed. My mother said, she was young, she was looking, they couldn't. So the Englishman said, what do you mean you cannot carry the bed? He said to his soldiers, get down and carry it. They couldn't carry it. So they were standing. The young guy forgot. And all of them were surprised. But then suddenly the bed, by a miraculous way, turned towards the room. The guy remembered. He said, the Sheikh before that is buried here. The Englishman said, buried here? Over my dead body. Then my family said, look, if you can carry him into the graveyard, bury him there, we don't mind. But then they couldn't. Even he tried. Then they have to bury him in his room. Today, I had students come with me to Sudan, I take them to the house. Nobody buried in their house. Only my grandfather. And he is a renowned Sheikh called Shaykh Musa, rahmatullahi alayh. A very beautiful man. They were all men of Quran. Madrasas. People talk about Taliban. It's supposed to be a school of Quran, teaching people how to live the Quran, how to be walking Quran. And from my father's side, they are also in that field. They are related to Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, rahmatullah alayh, or radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And from there, they think Islam is to be shared. Islam is to be delivered to those who really seek it, want it. And every one of us travels. So when I came here, I didn't think I'm going to stay here. In fact, my idea was to spend very little time, maximum 3 years, and then go back. But when the time came to go back, it was not to go back. So I'm now living here because I'm instructed to live in this land. Alhamdulillah. And the reason that I'm still here, because I got married here, I have children here. Otherwise, I'll be living in Sudan. I'll be in the desert.
And how long have you been here in London?
In London, I have been here since 1980, exactly October 1980. And at that time, I established a circle called the Islamic Circle. It runs still every Saturday. And in it, a lot of brothers now, mashallah, I see in the da'wah used to come with me. And the focus was to tell people simply about what Islam is and who is a Muslim. And those who embrace Islam, to tell them what to do. Little Quran, little. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it became a very big circle. And outside London, I lived while I was doing my education for 3 years in the West Midlands. Yeah.
And inside London, do you have any favorite places where you like to go?
Of course I do. I remember when I used to go to do my Umrah and I go around, and when I miss it in London, I go to Trafalgar Square. And it's a beautiful square. So I walk around and I live, and that makes me imagine as if I'm in the Kaaba. Seriously. And I don't know, there is something very special about a certain part in London, and that's one of them. And the second place I find tranquility and peace is a beautiful park in West London. I used to go to and walk in it. And the idea is, you see, when you walk in the park and there is a space, it linked me to where I come from. Because you walk, there is nothing. You see? And at least maybe see here and there some trees, but buildings are not there. London is a very condensed place, full of people. But alhamdulillah, London, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to me personally, is the best city in the world. And the reason is, you can find everybody, and you can find every food, every cuisine. You come from China, there is Chinese. You come from Canada, there is Canadian. You come from Ukraine, there is Ukrainian food. Where can you find this? Only in London. And that's what Islam is all about. Allah says, we created you from a single male Adam and a single female Hawa, made you into nations and tribes. To fight one another? No. To ridicule one another? No. To laugh at one another? Of course not. To know one another. And the best way to know one another is to share food. And if Allah bless, you get married. You find a lot of people in London are intermarried. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I'm the first maybe young Muslim from my country to marry an Asian woman. In my family, all my brothers and my sisters are married to first cousin, second cousin. This is the law. And the same thing for my wife. But Allah brought us together and we got married. And it was a big challenge at the beginning. But since then, it's history. And then people now come to me, say, please, I want to marry my daughter. I say, which community? Pakistani? We want Pakistan? No. Any other, just good Muslim. That is Islam. Where would you find this? London. If you want to get married, come to London.
So I'm interested in this principle of yours you mentioned before of not making money from da'wah,
yes,
from religion,
yes,
and that you have to have your profession,
yes,
to one side. I believe you're an educationalist,
yes,
by profession. Could you tell us a bit about what that entails and the work you've been involved in on that side of things?
When I decided to stay in this country after I got married, and the idea to stay here, why I got married here, because the community I used to work with and help in teaching, they insisted I should stay behind. There was an old man, may Allah bless his soul, his name is Haj Hassan. He said to me, look, Sheikh, wherever you come to the masjid, the young people sit around you and they benefit. When we talk to them, they don't listen. So why don't you stay? I said, what for? I need to go back. I need to go and help my dad. I need to get married. And said, but you got married here? I said, no. Somehow he managed to find a way in getting me married here. So I stayed in this country. I can't ask my father for living allowance anymore. It doesn't fit. I'm a man married now. So what I did is I began my journey of showing my dad that what I learned from him is a good profession. So I opened myself an office in the city. And with his help a little bit, doing a little bit of export import, Allah was so generous, and I'm doing my da'wah at that time. A businessman came to me and said to me, look, why don't you stop this office business? You're not be like your dad. Find the best street in London and I will help you. So I opened the shop in Oxford Street. And it was amazing. I had the story I'm not going to relate, but it's really one of the best experiences I had. But the building was sold and I had an alternative building to go to. I did. The building is called Oxford Walk for the shopping center. Now it is HMV, the big record center, just next to Oxford Station. And I had a beautiful shop there. And once I closed it, I made istikhara and I realized for me to continue my da'wah and not to be doing this thing, I should go into teaching. Because when you are a da'iyah, teaching and learning is good. So I went back to university again. I did a degree in education and I finished, because my initial education was in administration, management, and I did business, I did mathematics. So I came and did mathematics for education and I got my degree. And I wanted to go and work with non-Muslims, because I felt it would be good for me to see what's going on in this school. And there are Muslim kids there. The day I was putting my form into the box, somebody tapped me in the back and said, somebody's looking for you. I said, what are you doing? I'm applying for a job. I said, don't. So then I moved from the sector to work with Muslim schools. And I started working with two big Muslim schools in London. And the last one is with Islamia School Center. And I have just retired about 2 years ago, early.
And so this was the school which was founded by Yusuf Islam, also known as Cat Stevens. You were there for 20 years.
Yes, definitely for 20 years. I joined him, he invited me. And in fact, the school I worked with, they invited me because I decided not. I wanted to go and just experience working with the native people of this land. I have something I feel very special about this country and the people especially. I think the English people specifically, if are given a talent and they carry it out, I think they do the best. They are devoted to what they do. And I felt these people who managed in very little time to go all over the world and create the biggest ever empire and then suddenly pulled out, they must have something special in them. And I believe if any one of them can find the Prophet ﷺ and follow his example, they're going to bring benefit to the world. So I devoted myself to working with them and helping them and supporting them. So with Islamia School, with Yusuf Islam, I found in him, subhanAllah, a very good example of somebody who is devoted to serve people. Very humble, down to earth, wanted to do good. Alhamdulillah, from that school we managed to do a lot of good and supported a lot of people and did a lot of benefit to a lot of generation that inshallah they will come and be seen. Some of the kids I educated in Islamia, I did the nikah for them. their children, mashallah, now are grown up, alhamdulillah, which is a very good experience.
So this is the education side of things, but you also mentioned there a very important concept, the concept of service.
Yes.
And I believe you're heavily involved in encouraging people to serve others. And one of the key ways you do this is through Roomies Kitchen, which is providing, correct me if I'm wrong, free meals for people who are hungry, who are poor, who are homeless, where once again you have this open door policy and invite everybody in to eat with you. Why is that work so important?
Well, to be honest with you, my education work is where I earn my living. Yeah, I worked as a teacher, I worked as a deputy head teacher, I worked as acting head teacher, but my focus was into leadership, whereby I bring Islam into this school. So I joined the Association of Muslim School, AMS, and I was one of the people who found it. And then I joined another association called IBER, International Board for Research and Resources, working with Muslim schools around the world. All that is just for me to earn my living and to extend the knowledge of people about the importance of education. But I realized this is one thing, but there is another bigger thing. A human being is only human when he is concerned about the others. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you is a true believer until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And the most important brother for me, seriously, is my brother in humanity. Not my brother in blood, because he's okay. Not my brother in faith, Ahlul Kitab, because they're already Ahlul Kitab. They're all right. Not my brother in Islam, he's safe. He's a Muslim. But those who are my brother in humanity and they have not known faith or not known Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what can I do for them to give them what I love very much? Okay, so that became my devotion, to go out of my way to think of ideas. When I looked at Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and by the way, this is what I love, nothing else. And Islam to me is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His example is unique. His methodology is beautiful. The way he interacts with people. A story come to my mind is when everybody was running about in Mecca. Imagine like when the cowboys enter into an Indian village and everybody is panicking and the children are carried by their mothers and hiding behind the tent and the tent is burnt. And this old woman trying to carry all her luggage. And the Prophet ﷺ said to her, "Where are you going, ma? Didn't you hear? Hear what? Muhammad. What? Oh, this man had run away and he's going to come back and going to destroy everything. Where are you going to go? I'm going to find a place far away. He will not find me. Shall I help you? Yes." And he took all her things until the place she went, hid herself. And when he was leaving and she thanked him, "You didn't tell me your name." What did he say? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's where it come from. خير الناس من ينفع الناس. Wallahi al-azim. Allah is my witness. The best of people are those who serve people. I always tell people get upset. I said, in my time in the 20th century when I began this work, I used to look at the world generally. When I look at Mother Teresa in the news, I think she's the best person. Because she go to a land whereby there are people from their own blood who are untouchable. They can't even come to clean your sitting room, but they can only clean your toilet. She goes from her humble, lovely place where she is, dignified woman in religion, to go and carry their babies and clean them. And this is the work of prophets. Serving people, only prophets can do. And therefore, I began to think, what can we do? So I used to go and visit people in hospitals. Do you know that there are people dying in hospitals, Muslim and non-Muslim? Nobody visits them. What a sad situation. And we as Muslims should be leaders, because Allah will ask in the Day of Judgment and say, "I was sick, you did not visit me." How can you be sick, O Allah, and you are the Lord? If you visited the sick, you will find me with them. And then I realized when I walk in London, the Muslims don't want to give the homeless person. Why? Because he's going to use it for alcohol, he's going to use it for drugs, he's dirty, he's filthy. Imagine when the children say, "Ma'am, shall we help him?" Okay, but don't touch him. And when the child go and give the money, the mothers take tissues and clean their hand. Where Rasulullah used to love the poor and the needy, hold their hand, sit with them, eat with them. We're distant from the real faith. Wallahi, touching them is medicine. Touching them is medicine, because your nafs is destroyed. You fast a whole month to destroy your nafs, you are not going to destroy it. You just touch one poor man and Allah will, because then you killed your arrogance. You realize he is your brother in humanity. This is the son of Adam. Adam is looking down, seeing you, how you treat your brother. You see? And therefore, we began this venture of feeding. But when it came, where to feed them? And how to feed them? Some people feed them in a room, in a dining hall somewhere. But I said, we are Muslims. Where is the most important place? Where do we do our walima than our wedding? In the masjid. In the hall where we do our weddings, we will feed them there. As we do our walima, we will give them a proper 3-course meal with cutlery, with all the things they want, a starter, a main meal. And anybody who wants to volunteer, he must sit and eat with them, interact with them. Because it's not the food they want, the company they need.
And so here in London, you have these poor people, many homeless people, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, coming to the mosque, not just being fed, but being given a 3-course meal with cutlery, sat with you, eating together with you.
Yes.
My question is, you're a very respected person here in the UK. For example, when the new mayor of London was just installed, out of all the Muslim leadership in this country, you were selected to be there with the leaders of this country. How can you get the balance between mixing with people at the top, but still having time to feed them from your own hand and eat with them on the bottom? Where does this inspiration come from?
From the Prophet ﷺ. We are a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, whosoever humble himself before Allah, Allah will raise them. Man tawada'a lillahi rafa'ahu. How can you be a leader when you lead people whom you don't want to sit with them? One of the things that I always say to the politicians of today, before you get my vote, you will come to my area, you will sit in my small little cafe, you kiss our babies, you handle them. The moment you are elected in office, you need an appointment, which is very sad. You see, a leader, a real leader, is the one who is with the people. And I tell you, 2 leaders in this country I respected and I loved very much because they were always everywhere you see them. One of them was in the Conservative Party called Sir Keith Joseph. He used to be the Education Secretary. He's always in the bus. When I used to go to do my job, he's sitting next to me. We talk, he will ask me, how is the school today? And it was a privilege. And at the beginning, I didn't know who he is. But once I got to know who he is, because people come and talk to him, then I realized this is the man of God. It's not your office, your title. It is your heart Allah looks into. Be with the people, Allah will be with you. And then the other man, which I used to love very much as well, is from the Labour Party called Tony Benn. I find him anywhere. Whenever he is in the British Library, in the British Museum, in Parliament, he will talk, he will walk with everybody. There are others. I can give examples, but those 2, to me, they're right leaders. A leader is somebody who is connected. But if you are with the people, demanding them to stand by you, to vote for you, to put you in the position, and then the moment you are elected, you are cutting yourself off, you don't fit to be a leader. You don't fit. And this is the reason why I think I'm not a leader, but if I am to be a genuine person within myself, I should be with those who need me most. I think, Alhamdulillah, you can meet anybody, but those people looking up to you, if you can connect with them, then you are connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And so when it goes from keeping the company of these people, you have these simple projects which are feeding people food and helping homeless people, and I believe you've got charitable projects providing housing for people all around the world.
That was a project which I started in 2004. I was sitting in a place where we were doing teacher training in a conference in Doha about maybe 12 years ago. And then I noticed when the tsunami took place, 2004, about 12 years ago. And we were shocked. Suddenly a whole area is being destroyed. So I came back, I wanted to do something. I helped charities before, but I want to do it myself. So I traveled to Aceh through a beautiful brother called Ayman Abdul Qadir Ahwal, an Englishman who was living in Malaysia, married to a Malaysian woman. And I rang him and I said, look, I need to do something. He said, what do you want to do? I said, look, I have got my own help. My family is giving me some help. I want to come there. I want to visit those people, hold their hand. It was one of the best trips. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. I came back and I realized when I go to these places, there are people whom their government are helping because maybe they are aligned to them. There are people whom charities are helping, but they are aligned to them. But there are in the middle people nobody help. Who are they? Allah's people. So I wanted to help Allah's people. So I went to Pakistan at the big flooding, the first one, and then I went to Kashmir for the earthquake. Then I went to Darfur and the first trouble that started there. I went to Ethiopia I went to Somalia, I went to Mali, Timbuktu, alhamdulillah. And everywhere I went, if there is a need for something to be done, as much as I can do, I did. And I feel, inshallah, if all Muslims think that the reward is only by just doing for ourselves, then there is a mistake there. The reward can be greater if we do for others. As I said, love for yourself, or for others what you love for yourself.
And so it seems like this theme of serving others in your work is a common theme, something you focus on. I've noticed that many of the projects you're involved in are simple projects on the ground, offering a very simple service. But I also believe you're involved in more strategic work with vision. One example of this was your involvement in the establishment of the City Circle, which was about networking for professionals in London. So where does that vision come from?
Well, that, to be honest with you, when people usually come to me, as we say in Arabic, تحت القبة شيخ. They think under the dome there must be a sage or a holy man. So they think I have something. So the one who wants to buy a masjid, whom shall we go to? Go to Sheikh. So they come to me, Sheikh want to buy a masjid. The people who want to build a school, Sheikh can help us with building a school. I don't really have, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah has given me, but not to the extent that I can do these things people are dreaming of. But that should not stop me from doing. Ali ibn Abi Talib said, if you can't help the person with what they are asking, direct them to somebody else who can help them. So this is becoming my vision. Anybody who wants, come. So subhanallah, a brother called Mustafa Davies, a very beautiful brother, an English convert, he used to attend with me my circle all the time. One day he came, because I always tell them, look, don't sit with me and learn and you don't have a vision of what to do. What are you going to do to benefit the community? خير الناس من ينفع الناس. The best of people is the one who bring benefits to people. What benefit are you going to do? Learning knowledge, practicing Islam, going to Hajj every year, doing 60, 100 Umrah. So what? Paying your zakah, you are a good Muslim for yourself, but what are you good for the people? You can. So everyone around me try to do a project. So he came to me and said to me, look, the professional he's in banking. To be honest with you, the name for the circle, when Mustafa was trying to establish it, because it is going to be held for professionals, he decided the best name will be City Circle. And they started coming, meeting once a month, and every month they will have a new speaker coming. And the first talk I did for them. What I liked about that, those professionals who are so busy, like bankers, and professional working in the medical field, busy in hospitals, like consultants, they want a place to go and listen to something that will soothe their hearts, but yet they don't have a time to go to the mosque, and sometimes they don't feel they're dressed comfortably or properly or appropriately. It was suitable. They can just go and sit there, like any lecture, and they listen. That circle became very, very famous and very, mashallah, well known. And alhamdulillah, still running beautifully. That's one of the best programs, alhamdulillah.
Shaykh Babikir, it seems like you're involved in so many different varying things and activities. So you've got your full-time occupation, which is an educationalist, teacher training, imam and sermon in mosques, feeding the homeless, helping network professionals, all these things here, there and everywhere. Where do you get the time and where do you get the motivation to do all this?
The time is always going to be the same. The problem is there barakah in the time, there blessings or not. People don't, Muslim, subhanAllah, they don't realize the essence of goodness is barakah. I learned this when I was young. My father used to always remind me, the barakah is what you look for. He said when Rasulullah was being squeezed in Mecca by his own tribe, by his own people, including his own uncles, and some of his companions began to be abused until Yasir was killed and Sumayya, he was unable to carry that. And Abu Bakr Siddiq one day was bleeding. His mother said to him, if this is the case, stop this, Ya Abu Bakr. Don't go to see your friend Muhammad anymore. He called Uthman, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said, Ta'ala ilayya Uthman. Come to me, my brother Uthman. Uthman used to be his son-in-law, married to Ruqayya, bint Rasulullah. Alayka bis Sudan. Go to the land of those who are dark in their color, crossing the Red Sea. فإنه أرض خير. It's a land of goodness. Okay? عليك بالسودان أرض خير. خير can only be where there is barakah. If there is no barakah, there is no khair. So that always resonates in my mind. Okay? We need barakah. We need so that we can have that khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanAllah, the first hijrah was there, 11 men, 4 women. a few children, and second hijrah, not to Medina, to the same place where I come from, over 80 men, many women and children, and then later on the hijrah to Medina. So when Rasulullah realized the deen has to be saved, he wanted a place where there is barakah, where there is barakah in time, barakah in people, barakah in land, barakah in food, everything. So I believe the time that I have is like everybody else, but I try to utilize my time in the best way possible that I can fit, not for myself, but for those people who will benefit from it. For example, if you ask my wife, she will say, I never find him, and I never know where he is. How does he fit his time? I don't know. The reason is that people, when they call upon you, you should always say labbaik. Okay, always say, yes, I'm here. The Prophet ﷺ never hid himself away, never kept himself away. Our religion is an open religion, transparent religion. It's a religion of khair. And if that khair to be achieved in it, we seek the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah gives us all, inshallah, the blessing in time to be able to fit everything that we need to do, especially when we know that our time is very, very important.
So with all this work you are doing, what would you say are the biggest challenges and the biggest obstacles to the work you're involved in?
Well, to be honest, when I began doing my da'wah, I found a lot of help from everyone and everybody. And even the native people were helping. They were supporting. And you could see now from the lady next door, the Jewish lady, Ruth, may she have a long life. She's supporting. This is a very good support, encouraging, telling all the people when they are outside talking, don't talk, go inside and talk, because this place should not be obstructed. You're talking outside might create noise, and then the local authority, go inside. This is a good place. So that is the help we need, you see, from people like that. So wherever you go, whomever you mix with, they must see in you something that will benefit, not just yourself, but the people who are around, inshallah.
MashaAllah. I mean, I've just asked you about challenges and you've given me solutions.
Yes.
It's obvious you're a man of solutions, not of problems,
well, to be honest with you, challenges as you see them as challenges. I don't see it. When people are worried nowadays, our young kids are being brainwashed and our community is having big problems and they're divided and they're fighting one another. This is a sign of things coming together. Yani, tell me which home whereby the siblings are not fighting one another. Tell me which home whereby there are no ups and downs. But what we need to realize at the end of the day, who we are, where we come from, what are we doing here, where we are going next. And those who are aware of this more than others, they will always be the pillars to hold things down. We don't panic. One of the things that if I say to anybody, if you really want to know yourself, you are a Muslim. And I don't mean a Muslim, somebody who's following Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean a Muslim as somebody who is submitting his will to God. Yeah? If you really think you're a person of faith, okay. If you're a person of faith, you should have no fear. You understand? Because fear is the real test. Why are you frightened? There is only one fear you should have. From the one who is always with you and never absent, the one who sees you but you can't see, the one who hears you but you can hear him. Everything else is under his command. Once that fear is not there, then everything is possible. We should fear nothing. Okay? And therefore, when we talk about khashya, a word in the Quran used, it's not just fear, it's a very delicate fear. Allah said in the Quran, الَّذِينَ يَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَيْبِ. Those who truly fear Allah when they are alone. Most of us fear Allah when we are in public. But do we fear Allah when we are alone? That's the question. That's the question.
So in this line of positivity,
yeah.
It's obvious you're a man of positivity, and this is your message. You're a spiritual guide for many. What advice, general advice, what are the key areas and themes which we need to work towards as Muslim communities here in the UK to make sure that we're constantly developing and constantly going in the right direction in the face of all the perceived challenges which we face?
To be honest with you, I will say one thing. Any Muslim who's living in this country, and the majority are immigrant Muslims, muhajirun, who are living with the Ansars, the English, the Irish, the Scottish, the Welsh, who are the native people of this land. And I will remind all my Muslim brothers and sisters, they have to learn a lesson from the Hijrah. what was the role and the responsibility of the muhajir. The host, the Ansar, they shared everything, and we are good at saying it. Alhamdulillah, our host have given us everything. Our children are going to school. Our children are going to hospital. When we are sick, we're going to hospital. We don't go to the hospital and say, excuse me, do you have a Muslim doctor? You don't go suddenly to the school and say, my children must be taught by Muslim teachers. No, we put them, we accept that. When we don't have income, we apply for social security, we live in council homes, we take all those things. What are we doing in return? Unfortunately, there is a small segment of people who sometimes say negative things. If this is your homeland, you must respect your homeland. You must treat these people with respect. And the most important is your neighbor. And your neighbor is not one next door to the right or the left or the front or the back. It's 40 in every direction. It's your neighborhood. You should be the best neighbor in the neighborhood. Do you realize, especially I always tell my Pakistani family, if you cook a curry, up to 40 hours they can smell that curry. You must share it. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, this is what every Englishman should look and say, excuse me, follow your deen, share your curry with us. Because at the end of the day, we learn from him. He said one day, Abu Hurairah sitting with the first time, said to him, Ya Abu Hurairah, what are you cooking? He said, I'm cooking a soup, Ya Rasulullah. I said, add more water to share with more neighbors. Look at Islam. Look at Islam. When you go back home, this is happening. I remember we are living in the desert when we used to receive from the areas where there is fresh dates, some dates to our family, from our families who are living in an area where they grow dates. My mother, the first thing we say, before you open the boxes, give the neighbors. If we want to put it in our mouth, she said, no, give the neighbors first. And I'm sure if you go to Pakistan, Iran, you go to Arabia generally, you find the same custom. Why aren't we doing it here? We shouldn't neglect that. Look after our neighbors, be good to them. Visit our sick in hospital. I don't mean our sick, the Muslim, every sick in hospital. I tell everybody, you don't need an organization. Just ask the doctors who are working, ask the management, if there is a chaplain in the hospital, say, I want to come and visit. Wallahi, if you visit sick in the hospital, Allah will help you. This is, I say, wallahi, it's one of the most rewarding things for me. The third thing is befriending the elderly in the community. There are people sitting, there are Muslims. I went to visit 2 Muslim elderly men in my life. One of them, when I went to visit him, he cried. I said to him, why are you alone? He said, I had 2 children. They're both professional. One works in the United Nations, one works in a huge bank somewhere, and they're both not here. So I said, but you can't be alone. So I began to take him to the masjid, bring him for Jum'ah, and then I arranged for other elders to come and I provided a meal for them. The dua from that is sufficient for me. Yeah. So please, it is so simple, the solutions. It's not the problems. The solutions are there. Sharing and caring. That's it, nothing else. At the end of the day, love has to be put in the heart. We can't put it. Allah puts the love. لو أنفقت ما في الأرض جميعا ما ألفت بين قلوبهم. If you spend all that which is on the earth, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will not bond their heart in love. But Allah can. Allah will bond the heart. So what we need to do is to do the thing that can bond the heart. The food, the sharing of good things, visiting people. Imagine we have 2 Eids. Ramadan is coming and the Eid al-Fitr is coming. Imagine on Eid al-Fitr when we come back and the sweet we do and the food we cook, if we go to all, we give our children and knock every door and give them, would we be hated? I don't think so. Rasulullah says, Al-Hadiyah, the present, will open the heart. You see? He said, if you come from the desert and you have nothing to give, don't give nothing, even if you have to give a stone. And wallahi, once I was given a stone. A man came from a country. He said, Sheikh, please forgive me, but I was visiting a shore somewhere and I didn't know what to buy for you, and I picked this pebble for you. Guess what? It opened my heart. Alhamdulillah. So that's the respect we need to have, inshallah, for our host people and do the best by them, inshallah.
And so would it be accurate to summarize that and say the way forward is in positive contributions to our communities?
Absolutely. Positive and always with good intention, wanting no return, but wanting unity. Because at the end of the day, if we say we are people of Tawheed, oneness of God, our Tawheed can only be manifested in showing that we are one community. There's no differences. Being in different tribes or families is to know one another. How do we know one another? By sharing and by caring for one another, inshallah.
Shaykh Babikir Ahmed, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you here today. thank you for giving us such an insight into the work, what you do, and the person who you are, where you've come from, and sharing with us your vision so we can follow in your example, inshallah.
جزاكم الله خير. Thank you for coming and being with us. جزاكم الله ألف خير. شكرا.